What is up, Terrarians and Kargoh Krate members? Welcome back to another episode of Tier Makers. In today's Tier Maker list, we're going to be looking at my favorite bosses in 1.4, things that I'm going to take into account, nostalgia factor, the actual fight itself, maybe some of the gear that you get from it, the time that you fight it within the game. Maybe we can even talk about like switching it around or doing anything like that. But I'm going to go through the bosses in chronological order. So we're going to start at King Slime and end at the Moonlord. So first off, we're going to take a look at King Slime. This is a solid C tier fight. This fight is pretty much a throwaway. If you don't beat it, you're a bot. Pretty easy. I really do like this fight only for the fact that it gets me the King Slime mount, which is hands down one of my favorite mounts in the game. I use it for so many fights. I probably use it up until Plant Terra, which is so weird because you have the black spot mount, which used to be the GOAT as soon as you got in hard mode. Since it's nerfed, I really like the dodge factor that the King Slime mount has. So I really enjoyed that, but as the fight itself, I really don't like. Now we have the Eye of Cthulhu. I love this fight. When I first played this game 9 years ago, Eye of Cthulhu was a big deal. I mean, like, there were so many hours of exploration that you had to do to learn the game. There was a wiki, but not a lot of people knew about it, or like it wasn't very well fleshed out, or I don't remember exactly what it is, but to get to the Eye of Cthulhu was actually a pretty huge achievement when a game first came out, at least when I played it. How long ago was 9 years ago? I was 13. That's wild. So yeah, as a 13-year-old, I was dumb. Getting here was awesome. Same thing with the Eater of Worlds. I absolutely love this fight. Oh, it is one of my favorite. It just the fact of killing all the segments is so satisfying. It's a very difficult fight as well. You need to do just as much farming as you do for the Eye of Cthulhu, so it's very tough. Now we have the Brain of Cthulhu, and I like this fight. Obviously implemented after the 9 years. I don't know exactly when. I think it was 1.2 maybe it got implemented with the Crimson biome. This fight is awesome. I really like the two stages that it has, where it has the eyeball stage and then the stage itself, and it starts teleporting other places. I think that's really cool. The loot that you get from it, the crimson armor that you can get from it, it's super awesome. But it doesn't have the same nostalgic factor to it. I don't think it's like insanely cool. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to fight the Brain of Cthulhu. It's kind of more, I can't wait to get past the Brain of Cthulhu. So that's why I'm kind of putting it in the B tier. Then we have the literal Queen Bee herself, who is also going into the B tier. I love this fight, and as someone who loves Summoner, I love this fight because it used to be the only pre-hard mode summoning armor that you could get, and it was the best. And to actually get that B armor, you had like a massive power spike, and I love that fight. I got really good at this fight. I can usually do it in a no-hit or pretty close to it. It's a ton of fun. I think the changes that in 1.4, it made it a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging, and I think for the better, you know. Then we get into Skeletron. Again, A tier fight. This fight is a classic. Oh my goodness. When I think of Terraria, I really do think of Skeletron. Like 9 years ago, when this is the last boss, there was no wall of flesh. This fight used to be impossible. I just remember struggling so hard, and then you get into the dungeon and you get the gear. Oh, it's the best. And it really does unlock a whole nother avenue of getting the gear that you need. I mean, with the shadow chest, with the I can't think of it, the bewitching table, alchemy table, there's so many good things that you get from beating Skeletron that you'll use for the rest of the game. Now we're gonna look at the old one's army. This is the mage. This boss is annoying. I hate the little minions. I like beating this boss because it means I get my medals, but that's about it. I don't really care for anything. It doesn't drop anything, I don't think. Not any weapons or anything like that. This might be the 1D tier. Yeah, I think that's the 1D tier. I don't know if there's another boss that has a D tier. Wall of Flesh, I'm torn. I'm torn between C or B. This is why I think I'm gonna place it in a C, is because the level of preparation. Now, I do really intense hell bridges, so I use obsidian platforms in my hell bridges, and the reason that I do that is so that lava doesn't break our platforms. Apparently planter boxes do the same thing. I don't know that for sure. If planter boxes do the same thing as obsidian platforms, then this goes straight to a B tier fight, but the preparation alone is really annoying to me, so I don't like the fight leading up to it. I love the fight itself. It's 30 seconds to a minute, and it's really intense, and it's fun, and there's a lot of different techniques that you can use to beat this boss. So I think that's what brings a lot of the value to it, but the preparation alone brings it down to a C. Now you get into hard mode, And one of the first things you can do is you can actually farm for the ice golems and the sandstorm elementals. I didn't really know these were bosses, but this is not a tier maker list that I made. This is a tier maker list made by Blank and Ace on Twitter. Go leave a follow, I guess. But they're in here. So these are both C tier. I think they're cool. I think, actually, you know what? I hate the sand elemental. The boss is extremely difficult to find. It goes through walls because of the tornadoes that it has, and it doesn't always drop the loot that you need from it. So no, you are another D tier. Ice Golem, on the other hand, you can hide in a nice little ice block. You can let your summons hit it, and it's fantastic. That's the best part. We're leaving it there. Queen Slime. I really like this fight. This fight is awesome. Again, it's very optional. You don't need it, but you get some really cool gear. You get the hook that I can't remember. I never remember the hook name, but it teleports you like the Rod of Discord. Super fantastic. You now get the Blade Staff, which is super awesome. The Blade Staff used to be so difficult to get. Now that they made it a Queen Slime drop, that I think there's a 33% drop chance. Amazing. That is seriously fantastic. Then you can also get the Assassin Armor. Right now I'm doing a Master Mode no accessory challenge run on Twitch, and I'm gonna be hardcore pushing for that armor set, because that armor set actually gives you a dash, and since we can't use the Shield of Cthulhu because it's an accessory, I'm really looking forward to that set armor piece. So that's why I put Queen Slime in a B slot. The twins. I'm torn between the twins. You see, the twins here, I'm a twin, so I inherently like the twins, but I don't really like the fight. It's really bizarre. I really like the name of the twins because I was always called the twins, me along with my twin brother. But I mean, it's good and bad. Like, it can be really difficult if you can't get down spaz. If you're a summoner and you're struggling for your spiders to get on that staff, I mean, if you don't kill Queen Slime, I mean, it can be tough. This fight can be an endurance fight for sure, but it can also be really fun, really short. Spaz is not super difficult. I think it's pretty well balanced. I think you just need to be a little bit more prepared. The Destroyer, I feel like, is a similar way. The Destroyer, though, is a little... It's too similar to the Eater of Worlds for me. But I mean, you could say the same thing about the twins. I'm torn between my logic right now, because I'm thinking about it, and I don't like the lasers that it shoots out. I don't like the probes, but that also is like the charm of the fight, because the probes give a lot of heart. No, I'm going off a feeling on this one. I don't like this fight, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's a C tier. Skeletron Prime, that's an A tier fight. I love this fight. I don't know why. It is hands down the most difficult mech boss for me to beat. Maybe that is why I like it. I like the challenge. I like the ability to kind of play around a boss the way that you're supposed to play it. Because Skeletron and Skeletron Prime are so different. You can't really just circle Skeletron Prime the way you can circle Skeletron, because it's so much faster, because it has those increased spike range. You have to play it differently, and I think that's a really cool use of their mechanics. I just love Skeletron in general, so I really like that fight as well. The Dread Nautilus, I think that's what this is called. I never fought this in the proper progression. You're supposed to take it on right after the mech bosses, apparently, and get the summon that you can get for it, and like other weapons. I don't even know what other weapons it drops, but this fight is always so difficult. I've seen the thing where it's like, so you're supposed to circle it and you're supposed to stay in a box, but it destroys me every single time. I take like 250 health damage from this one hit, and then the second hit I just die. And so I'm like, I don't get the there's a disconnect there, and I'm not sure what it is. A lot of people seem to like this addition. I think it's a really cool addition to Blood Moon. I love Blood Moon fishing. I think that's a really cool idea. But for this fight particularly, I've never properly done it in progression or beaten it like I'm supposed to. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. So yeah. The Summoner. The Goblin Summoner. I would say a solid B tier. It definitely adds a whole new level to the Goblin Army, because you can actually farm out the Goblin Army. The Goblin Army at first is just to get the Goblin Tinker, and then you don't need it for anything else. Well, the Goblin Summoner actually drops a handful of good weapons. The Hex Tech Doll, or not the Hex Tech Doll, the Hex Doll, the Hex Bow, I think that's what it's called, and then the Shadow Knives. Shadow Knives is one of the coolest weapons out there, and it does so much damage. When you get the Shadow Knives and you're a melee player, or you're using Frost Armor or something like that, oh, those mech bosses are going to get toasted, let me tell you. Now, the Pirate Ship. I used to love this pirate ship, and up to a couple of days ago, I probably would have put this in the B, but for some reason, I find it so difficult to actually spawn in there were so many times where the event was at like 92%, 95% before I even saw one. And when I did see one, if I died, then it would despawn. And so it's like, I'm doing this whole event just to get the black spot. And I can't even, it's a 25% chance drop, which is a really high drop chance, but I can't get these things to spawn in. And I'm wasting time, money, effort. It's just, it doesn't seem like a lot of reward for the endurance fight that you have to go through an entire event for it. So, Olden Army, the Ogre, another C tier. I don't really look forward to the Ogre. Is there good items that you can get? I think it just drops the sentry items that you can be used by summoners, where it allows 1 extra sentry and 10% summon damage, which is great, but I don't know. It's not like, I feel like most Olden Army like bosses for me are C tier, D tier. I like the event itself, but the bosses themselves, I feel like they're way too difficult or a little lackluster. You know what I mean? Now we're into Plantera, and this is my favorite stage of the game. When you're in that Plantera golem phase, there's so much content to consume. There's so much scalability that is just like, you go from this baby that can barely beat the mech bosses, and you're insanely strong after Plantera, and I love that feeling. So I'm gonna say Plantera is an S tier for me. That's high praise. I love this fight. It is seriously so much fun. I usually beat it in one try. I like the arena building for it, even though it takes a little bit more time. I like the knowledge that I have about this fight, and the weapons and the drops are really great, and I really enjoy them. Now we're getting into the Pumpkin Moon. The Pumpkin Moon has a special place in my heart as a summoner, because you get really good gear from the Pumpkin Moon. You get like the Harvester Whip? I think that's what it's called. You get the spooky armor. You get the Raven Staff. I mean, it's amazing. It's really so good. The Morningwood, we're gonna keep it a B. The name brings it down for me. It's like, I'm a streamer who's family friendly, and I'm a YouTuber who's family friendly, and I can't say half the names of the items in Terraria. So that's the Morningwood for you. But we have the Pumpkin, which is awesome. I love this fight. I love fighting like 80 pumpkins at a time. Really great. A tier. It's not like an actual boss, so I don't think I could put it in that S tier, but it's pretty close to an S tier. Now we have the Santa, the Frost Moon event. I don't know why I called it the Santa, but we have the Everscream. I almost forgot the name of this thing. The Everscream, I would say, is pretty similar to Morningwood, where it's a nice little boss. It's not too difficult. You kind of just kill it pretty quickly, and it's great. The Santa NK1 tank is another B tier. I really like the chain gun that drops from it, but like dying to a Santa and the presents that fall down, definitely drop it from an A tier, because I mean, like, it's so difficult to dodge that. I don't even know if you can tell when it's gonna do that, so it can be a surprise. You know what I mean? And then the Ice Queen herself, I feel like I never get the weapon that I want from the Ice Queen. It takes either like 5 ever to get it, or it's just like, by the time I do the Frostman event, I don't really need the item, or the item's not that good. It's mostly mage based, and I don't play a lot of mage classes, so maybe that's why I'm thinking B tier, C tier. But then we get into our UFO, which, yes, the UFO is a boss. Oh my goodness. If you've never beaten the UFO, or if you've never played it in master mode, oh my gosh, this thing can destroy your hopes and dreams in seconds. Thankfully, they made it a little bit easier in 1.4.1, I believe. I think they nerfed it, the speed of it, or something like that. Because really, before, the only way to beat this was using a black spot mount. And now you can't really use the black spot mount effectively to beat UFOs. But you can now kind of use your flying speed and whatnot to get around them, which is just so nice. I really enjoy this fight. It drops the UFO staff, the Xeno staff, there you go. It drops the Influx Weaver, it drops the car key. I mean, there's so many good things that you get from this. The fight itself is a little terrifying and can get like one-shotty, which is kind of annoying, but it's really great. Then we have Mothron. Mothron C tier, kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't really know. Does she even have a health bar on the bottom? I honestly don't know. You get the Terrorblade from this because you need the Broken Hero Sword. But other than that, I have never, ever, not once in my career of Terraria, I've gotten Mothron wings. And that's saying something. I've killed a lot of Mothrons, and I've never gotten it. So we're going to leave Mothron on the C tier. Golem, you're also a C tier. You're a little bit of a pushover. Tiny Golem, get out of here. For the worthy though, Tiny Golem actually is insane. It's difficult, and I actually really didn't like that fight because for whatever reason, I was doing something wrong. The way Chippy beat it, props to Chippy. It took me hours and hours to actually beat Golem. I don't know why. So now we're getting into Duke Fishron. I like this fight. I am torn about it because there's times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't beat this fight for some reason, and I hate this fight. But when I actually beat it, I'm like, wow, that was a fun fight. So is it me just being frustrated that I'm bad at Terraria, or is it me not liking the boss? I think it's just me being frustrated at Terraria. So we're gonna say that we like this boss. I like the drops that you get. The weapons are fun. The boss is fun. Honestly, the way that you get the boss spawn, it can be a little tedious, but recently I've been having a lot of luck. If in my last series when I fought Duke Fishron, I couldn't find a truffle worm, I'm sure that might be dropped down to a C tier. But honestly, I get plenty of summons most of the time, and I don't worry about it. Empress of Light. Empress of Light is so close to an S tier. It's so close. And the reason why I'm bringing it down to the A tier is the reason why we would bring Duke Fishron to a C tier. Those prismatic lace wings are so hard to find. The fact that you get 5 minutes out of each day to get these things, and sometimes they don't even spawn in for a whole night, is ridiculous. I mean, I'm using battle potions, I'm using water candles, I'm building towns and NPCs just to like increase the critter spawn rate. I'm looking at hunter potions. I'm grabbing the guide to companionship, whatever that thing is called, so I don't accidentally kill them. There's so much preparation, and yet there's some nights where I just don't get one. And I think there's a little bit of a misbalance there. I think it's an amazing fight though. The daytime Empress of Light, I love the addition of that. I love that it's a one-shot boss. I love that you get this amazing item at the end of it. I like that the items glow depending on your name. If you use a developer's name, the items glow a certain color. There's just so much richness to the items that this boss drops. The items alone bring it to an A tier, and then the fight itself is so pretty. It's so much fun. If you haven't fought it at nighttime or in master mode, I think the master mode mechanics of the fight are so awesome. Like, they're so difficult, and I just love that it's in 1.4. It really does feel like a modded boss. Now we're getting to the Lunatic Cultists. I don't hate the Lunatic Cultists as much as the community does. I find this fight kind of fun. It can be really annoying if you hit the wrong Lunatic Cultist when it's in that one phase and it spawns the Ice Dragon. I could see that, but most of the time, if you have a good monitor, you can kind of tell the difference. So I'm not too worried about it. I like the fight. I like that it's kind of like an easy fight right before end game. Usually you feel really strong by this point, so I'm going to give it a solid C tier. Again, it's really quick, really boring, but also kind of fun. It's kind of like a mixture. Now the pillars. Nebula pillar, D tier. Solar pillar, D tier. Stardust pillar, D tier. Vortex pillar, D tier. Frick the pillars. I love the items that they give you, and there's certain enemies that I like that are in the pillars, but most of them, frick them. I hate them. They take so long. 150 enemies. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to record a 20-minute YouTube video. Each pillar takes 20 to 30 minutes. Are you kidding me? Maybe I'm just bad at them. I don't know. Betsy, another D tier. The reason why I say Betsy is a D tier, I honestly think that Betsy is harder than Moonlord. I have never beaten Betsy without lunar equipment or without post Moonlord equipment. I don't know what it is. Again, maybe expert mode could change that. Maybe mixed class could change that, but I mean, as per class, I've tried Betsy in every single class in master mode, and I have not been able to do it. Maybe if I did like a hybrid summoning and everything like that, maybe it would be beatable before Golem or beatable after Golem. Isn't Betsy after Golem? I'm pretty sure it's post Golem, but pre-lunar events, I have not beaten Betsy ever. And honestly, the fight is so bizarre to me. I can't really tell what's going on. I have to defend the crystal, and then I gotta punch the dragon. It's a lot. Then we get into Moonlord, and some people think Moonlord is boring. Some people think that Moonlord's too easy. I love the Moonlord fight. It's so much fun to me. It's such a good incorporation of the game. Like, I think it's a great way to end it. And the way that the boss dies, it's a giant flash. Then the credits now roll up at the end of it. It just really feels like it completes the run for me. There's a lot of nostalgia from when I first beat Moonlord. When I first saw Moonlord, I was terrified. I thought that fight was literally going to be impossible. And when you finally beat it for the first time, that has got to be one of the best feelings ever, honestly. Well, that is my tier list. We have only one boss that actually made it into the S tier list, which is actually surprising. I thought I was going to get through this and kind of have a few in there, but Plantera is the only one that I feel like truly deserves that. I think Plantera is a fantastic fight. And then of course we have the terrible bosses at the bottom, so then everything in between. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comments if there are other tier maker lists that you would like to see. If you want to make one for me and you want me to see it and try it out, maybe I'll make a YouTube about it. I can't say whether or not I absolutely will, but why not? You know, it'd be fun. I love these videos. I like going through my opinions. Last one I did live on Twitch, and that was a really great time. This one, I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more personal on YouTube, wanted to share my thoughts and not have so much of the community's thoughts, but I'd like to do both. I'd like to continue to do that. So maybe we'll incorporate Twitch in the next one or whatever that is. But stay awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.